going back to my Captain America series of reviews, Captain America the Winter Soldier. This is a Marvel movie that for a long time was hailed as one of the best Marvel movies. And part of me wants to agree with that, and part of me does not. I really like this movie. Like, it was fun rewatching it, especially since I had nostalgia for this because I'll be honest, a lot of the earlier, especially Phase 1 Marvel movies, I did not see in the theater. My dad was very picky when I was younger about not letting me see PG-13 movies until I was 13, then he kind of gave in over time. I was not allowed to watch Revenge of the Sith for the longest time. I don't because it was PG-13, so that's kind of always a part of my childhood that I look upon with regret because it's just such a silly thing. Like, yeah, you can monitor what your kids watch, but that's a little too extreme. We're talking about these are not movies that are going to harm your kid in some way if you watch them when you're younger. But yeah, I also was too young to see Iron Man in the theater. I was born in 2003, so I would have been about 5 when that movie came out. I saw Avengers in theaters, but most part I didn't really remember any of watching anyone in the theaters until this one, and I thought it was awesome because I was a kid. But so it was kind of nostalgic, especially since the family members I watched this movie with, a couple of them are no longer here. So yeah, just that's my own personal experience watching this movie. I think why people really like this movie because they describe this as a different toned Marvel movie, or it's a spy espionage movie. And I highly disagree with that assessment because I think in the first hour to hour 30 of this movie, yes, it is that. Actually, first hour 15 minutes, we'll say. Um, because the action is very fast paced, like in a spy espionage thriller. There's a lot of trying to be quiet, hush hush about certain people, who we can trust, sort of stuff like that. But as the movie goes on, it kind of becomes more of a straightforward Marvel movie. And, and so I don't think this is a bad movie at all. Like, it's still really good. But I do think, like, when people act like this is a darker Marvel movie, it's really not. Maybe it was probably the darkest movie up until this point when this movie came out. I guess I could say that, but even then, I don't know if I would say that. I mean, we had Iron Man 3, a couple other movies. I think kind of wager that out. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, this is the movie where Bucky returns as the Winter Soldier, stuff like that. So that's cool. I really don't like Scarlett Johansson's character in this movie, Black Widow. I've never really liked that character, but I think in other movies she's a tolerable, fun side character. Where here she's just straight up bad. Every line that she has is like some quippy, poorly written, shitty dialogue that you can tell was written by a man and not a woman. I feel like sometimes you can really tell that with female characters, especially in movies that are made for men, where women are clearly only written by women and their dialogue is terrible. So, or not women, men, and it is just really bad. It's She has a couple good character moments, like when she's talking about her time in the Black Widow program, and when Shield's compromised in this movie. I guess spoilers, but this movie's been out a long time. She's talking about how that mean it's kind of weird not knowing who you can trust. I get that. For me, I think that's a really engaging story to think about because Black Widow, the movie, I actually is one of my favorite Marvel movies, and I know a lot of people hate that Marvel movie. I think that that first the Black Widow movie adds so much more to lines of dialogue that like that in the MCU. There's a moment in Endgame that I really love with her, and so it actually gave me appreciation for a character I didn't even like because of the dialogue that she has in this movie. So she has one good scene in this movie, but overall I don't like that. But yeah, I do think though in rewatching this movie, there wasn't as many quips. Like, Marvel movies always have that sense of humor to them. Wasn't really a lot in this movie. And I think that did, I guess, add to maybe this movie feeling a little bit different. But overall, I don't think this is the different major tonal shift that people pretend it is. It's a good movie. It's got good action. Some of the CGI, honestly, was a little bit dated. Like, there's a couple shots with the Winter Soldier. I'm like, that looks really cheap and not great. But then again, it was 2014, so I don't know. But yeah, I mean, this is still a good movie. I think this is probably the best of the Captain America movies. You guys are not gonna like what I think is the worst Captain America movie, not counting the '90s ones and the '70s ones. I'm talking about the MCU ones. You're not gonna like what I think is the worst Captain America movie, because that's the one we're talking about next week.